Did you know that the Tower of London, a monument to power, betrayal, and bloodshed, is said to be home to a ghost who refuses to fade from history? For nearly 1,000 years, these cold gray walls have seen kings rise, queens fall, and whispers of suffering cling to the corridors like a shadow that cannot be washed away. But among all its tragic spirits, one presence stands out, a figure draped not only in white linen, but in sorrow deeper than the moat that once surrounded this fortress. This is the tale of the White Lady of the Tower. Our story begins in the year 1536. The sky over London was unusually quiet that spring morning, as if the city itself held its breath. Inside the tower, Anne Boleyn, the queen whose smile once captivated a king, waited for a fate she never truly believed would come. She had been charged with treason, adultery, and unthinkable betrayal. Yet history tells another story, a woman caught in the violent currents of ambition and royal obsession. It is said that on the eve of her execution, Anne walked the length of her narrow chamber, her fingers brushing the cold stone as though memorizing it. She whispered prayers into the darkness, not for herself, but for her daughter, the future Queen Elizabeth I. The guards claimed they saw her kneel, her silhouette trembling in the dim candlelight. Though whether from fear or acceptance, no one could say. When the moment finally arrived, Anne Boleyn carried herself with an eerie calm. She wore a gray gown. Her long dark hair was bound tightly beneath a linen cap. And even as she stepped onto the scaffold, witnesses said her eyes burned with a strange, fierce clarity. She forgave her accusers. She praised the very king who had condemned her. Then, kneeling on the straw, she whispered her last prayer. The French executioner raised his sword. A soft wind stirred the silence, and the queen's head fell. Most stories would end here, but the Tower of London, it seems, doesn't let its tragedies go so easily. For centuries since her death, a pale figure has been seen gliding silently through the corridors. Guards have reported a woman in white drifting near the queen's house, her hands clasped tightly in front of her, as though still holding the prayer she never finished. Others describe a chilling presence near the Traitors Gate, the very place where Anne entered the tower for the last time. But the most disturbing accounts come from the Chapel Royal of St. Peter ad Vincula, the small church where Anne was hastily buried beneath the stone floor. Late at night, when the tower sleeps and the city's noise fades into a low hum, some say they've seen her, kneeling beside her own grave. Her head, they claim, is not upon her shoulders. One guard recalled entering the chapel during his rounds. The candles were unlit. The air was unnaturally cold. And there, in the faint moonlight, he saw a woman in a flowing gown kneeling at the altar. Her posture was regal, almost peaceful, but when she turned, he realized her face was missing. Where her head should have been, there was only darkness. He fled the chapel, dropping his lantern on the stone floor. When he returned with others, the room was empty. The air was warm again, and the only sound was the faint echo of their own breaths. Skeptics claim these sightings are tricks of the mind, mirages shaped by old stories and older fears. But the tower's yeoman warders, veterans hardened by decades of service, speak with a different tone. A tone of caution, a tone of respect. One warder described a moment he would never forget. While locking the gates at dusk, he felt a hand brush his shoulder. Light, almost curious. When he turned, no one stood behind him. But from the corner of his eye, he saw a slim figure vanish around the stairwell, silent as dust. He followed. Each step creaked beneath his boots. The corridor was empty, except for the faint scent of old lavender drifting in the air. The same fragrance Anne Boleyn was said to favor. The White Lady, as she is called, is not the tower's only ghost, but she is its most sorrowful. Some believe she searches endlessly for justice. Others think she wanders in a loop, reliving her final hours in a prison where she was both captive and queen. And yet, there is one story rarely told. In the 19th century, during renovations to the chapel, workers unearthed a skeleton believed to be Anne's. When they lifted the remains, witnesses claimed a faint sigh rippled through the room. The candles flickered violently, and several workers refused to continue the job. The presiding officer ordered a swift reburial. As the stone slab was replaced, a low, mournful wail echoed through the chapel. Today, visitors still report unusual sensations: pressure on the chest, sudden chills, or a presence standing just behind them. Children, in particular, claim to see a lady dressed in white waving to them softly before dissolving into thin air. Whether these encounters are spirits or imagination, the truth is that the Tower of London holds memories that cannot be easily forgotten. Its stones remember every cry, every whisper, every life cut short within its walls. And perhaps some souls remember too, because late at night, when the Thames grows quiet and the ravens settle on their perches, a figure can still be seen gliding through the shadows. She moves with purpose, with sorrow, with a story unfinished. And if you stand very still, very silent, you might feel her pass beside you. The White Lady of the Tower, a queen betrayed, a spirit unresting, a ghost still searching for her head. And if you visit the tower after dark, don't look behind you, because she might be standing there, watching,